better, but I guess that'll work. My mom gave me a haircut, and it's a little different looking, but oh well. Again, for people who've heard of Havana syndrome or target individuals, Robert Duncan was a scientist, and his qualifications are Elana Freeman in her book about the ozone or ionosphere, I forget. There's a little subnote saying that it's hard to substantiate. He's a very intelligent man, but it's hard to validate or substantiate his education. But he's obviously a very smart man. I couldn't pick up half the stuff. And then when you deal with Tesla technology, you don't know how much of it is what's real and what's covered up and what's a lot of it, it's a D.E.W, like MK Ultra in the 50s, 60s. You just kind of think they would have learned their lesson, our intelligence agencies, or that they wouldn't go along with something that if it found out that it would make them look horrible. And the people in the town, they're just thinking about the money, I guess. I don't know. It's the cruelty of it. And in my case, I remember when I was 24, I had to put this together. I literally thought maybe I went too much into the religion. Because no matter what, I was religious, very to the point of scrupulosity, OCD. But I couldn't feel, there wasn't much fluctuation. I thought, well, I went too much into religion. I'd broken my arm when I was 14 after football practice. And, slowly getting these sharp pains just out of the blue. Just boom, boom, my side. And like 15, 16, 17, and just, it would come and go. But then it started deadening that area. And thankfully, my doctor sent me to a specialist after about 8 years of, asking. Then he sent me OxyContin. Do you want it solved? And you just want it taken out or fixed? But the last thing you would never think is that they would purposely put you in a study as a guinea pig. Even though Bill Clinton in 95 already apologized for it. Somebody decided, yes, go ahead, hospital or whatever. I don't know what hospital or what year. And then it was just 30 years of, Lord, what is this? What is this? Please just heal it. Tell me what is this? 30 years every day thinking that. And it wasn't until I almost checked out in 2017, had learned to walk again. And even then, with people knowing, they didn't tell me anything. It wasn't until a couple years later, year and a half after literally falling out a window, having learned to walk and get my arm back because I landed like this. Anyway, my side, I kept on putting, it's to find out Havana syndrome, it's these DEWs, directed energy devices, and it's to see how it affects you. Your thinking, always being in pain, because it's an electronic device that pulls on your chest, like pulls it down to where you can't feel because there's an electrical current around that area. And you're trying to pray, meditate, concentrate on it, all these psychological things to try to get you to feel and not be in pain. And I don't know how long they're using your brain to check the vital signs, like Stephen Hawking in his chair. Brain mapping, being able to read the thought and put the thought out there in words, communicate it. And they can do it. They can even weed out stupid thoughts like, when you get 20 different thoughts at once and you're just concentrating and just like communicating, talking. You're not every little random thought that you have. But hopefully this year, I'm hoping targeted justice and PACs and groups will, Targeted Justice said that they went to the talked to some senators, like 40 different people. So I got that email. And in this book, Duncan and Soulcatcher, 2025 is when the Air Force claims they will release the information of the technologies and weapons described in this book. Of course, this God will come in a very different form and change the organization of the human race, a new world order, 2025. And people are already talking about it. And a lot of it's a huge psyop, that they put me through and the world goes through in different ways, and how different people they put through. But you can't, it's like this. I put magnets on my side, but it's that red thing. That's because I put a magnet up here all the time, but I don't get any red or anything. I have a magnet right here, just not touching it. But because there's so much radiation inside because of this electronic device, if you could see, you would see broken capillaries in this area in a half circle. The lighting is a little bit like at home, you'd see a broken capillaries in a circle, and me putting a magnet next to somehow brings that red mark. I'm not allergic to magnets. I put every day I put a little magnet, a heavy one that pulls 2,000 pounds, that big daddy, on my side like this, and fall asleep. And the pressure, I don't know, like it's more comfortable. 2,000 pound pole weight. It's a fishing magnet. But if I just go like that next to my area down here, then the radiation of it makes it red, somehow. So, and that's where the radiation from the electronic device. Anyway, what it does is it takes away your ability to feel a lot of your emotions, the strength level. People with Havana syndrome, they feel that they're slowly they're losing their sense of self. And when you go 30 years not knowing what it is, like, Lord, tell me, what is this? Heal it. And then to find out, thank God for the Ella Freed, Dr. Matthew Arnegard, who's at the NIH rally in Portland, who was there and helped. When I was recuperating in the hospital around 2017, they had the first Hope and Unity conference. It was it was the name of it, but in 2018 there was another one. They had groups in Sacramento, Chicago. It was to help target individuals. In 2019 it was in Portland, thank God. And they had one at the Sacramento at the state capitol. But I don't know, a lot of those people have left. They don't seem, it's supposed to be the rest of your life. But maybe they did something or knew somebody or gave somebody some favors and got out of it. Anyway, this idea of telling people that if they're more positive, it's good to be positive. It's good to tell people to be positive. But those people might then blame themselves for not being positive enough. And you being on this, I didn't have any enemies. I didn't do anything to hurt anybody, literally my entire life. And people were pretty nice to me in Dallas, too, I thought. So I didn't go around thinking people were out to get me, or that people were, even now that I'm on this program, and I know they literally are trying to get rid of me, I know I didn't do anything to do it, to deserve it. So I don't go around, because I have a very sensitive conscience, scrupulosity to the point of, and that was a waste of time and years, because this whole thing was done to me on purpose for 30 years. And I just thought somebody might have screwed up an operation. That's why I was in pain. Or, just anything. I certainly didn't think in all those years I had enemies or people were going to use me as a guinea pig. Never. 30 years. And I was like, the Savannah syndrome and target individuals and everything. And then it came up with what they call V2K. And you start telling people that, they look at you like, really? Would our government do that? And most people would be like, no, they wouldn't use people or experiment on people like in that cruel MK Ultra. That was the 70s. But then gain of function happened. And even being told not to do it, don't do it. They do it anyway. And then they got money and rich off it. And even if you're in front of a religious town, drain the swamp. I was amazed. To this day, if there was a way to put them, I don't want people, I don't like torture. I hate it. And I don't like the idea even of doing it I would like them to learn their lesson. But I hate cruelty. I just do. I don't like it when it's done to me, and I hate it. I don't like it. I hate it. But to have an answer what it is, it makes you look at the people differently. Especially when they talk about ethics or right and wrong, or talk about the swamp, and to know that they know, and they know about it. They know it. And when you go and try to get their help, they the first couple times it was like, well, maybe you should see a psychiatrist, maybe you should get some counseling. The third time on the phone, the cop guy finally just, it's a federal program, and what can we do? I found out the head of one of the FBI main people I went to high school with. And that's when this happened, when it started getting symptoms, when I was in high school. Getting these, anyway, if this does happen to people, and whether through Space Force in Colorado, and using frequencies, I don't know enough about this Tesla technology, whether it's just frequencies and they don't need they don't need implants. With Elon Musk and the brain chip, and before him it was DARPA doing this stuff with the chips in the head, and Bill Gatto, with bulls and in animals. At least now they decide not to torture dogs or beagles anymore. The NIH. It's weird because they still, even in the town in Salem, they still think it's okay to torture me, and that people know about it with this technology. But let me say, I'm glad they're deciding not to torture animals, but I'm saying legally, years ago when I thought they were trying to be nice, it's like, well, they could use my body in science for, to help people. Well, no, they're using it while I'm alive, and I don't want them to use my body or any part of my body, my brain, my heart, my emotions. I don't ever want them to use my heart, my emotions, my brain. Even if they promise and swear to God and everything, I don't want them to use it, because they've shown, even the people in my hometown, that they'll just lie to me. Take the money, sign non-disclosures or whatever, because I was left not knowing for 30 years, and it wasn't until, thankfully, after I fell and had to learn to walk again, then they, going through the rally and the internet and Myron May and PAX and Targeted Justice, I don't know how many people there were, or Icator in London, in England, and I really don't know how many DARPA has put out there, or now whether it's just brain chip stuff. But if you do start seeing that side pain, or pain that nobody's talking about, and then you start losing your sense of self, your feelings, and realize that our government, the level of greed, whether it's selling weapons of war that they know is going to be done just to kill other people, and that never did anything to you, but they're more than happy to make weapons to kill and murder whoever. And if that's not enough, then they'll do it to people in a slow kill, a directed energy weapon like Havana syndrome. there are still good people, and there's even still good, good Christian people that if they knew, they would say no, not in my name. There are Jewish people saying, like in that war, they're saying no. Hasidic Jewish people saying, for their part, whether you think good or bad, I'm just saying there are Jewish people saying, not in my name. We don't want this. There's people probably in Ukraine or Russia, not in my, I'm just saying that. I'm not saying for you to be on this side. I just think war, like Trump was saying, I want it over. I want it done. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump. America shouldn't be in the artillery business, making weapons and selling it to our friends. Because a lot of those people we call friends and allies were people that not too many years ago, our news reports found out were the ones trying to kill us. I won't say names or countries, it's pretty obvious. But then you find out they have spies and they're spying on us with technology, but they're our friends and they're our allies. But, with friends like that, who needs enemies? They're supposed to be looking out for us. People in City Hall are supposed to be looking out for us, our hospitals, our doctors, our friends. City Hall, when they just view you as less than a beagle, even though you've never hurt anybody, when they don't think you're even a human being, even though you've been nice to people and law-abiding, just good, hardworking, to the point where you don't think there's anything they could look in your memory banks for all that, and just, you make some little embarrassing mistakes, but you never hurt anybody. And you're not trying to, you just didn't do it. Please look, Anyway, I'm hoping with targeted justice and PACs and 5.5, 6, 7 years of talking about Havana syndrome, the Air Force, according to Robert Duncan on Soulcatcher, or Tim Emerson, whatever his name is, whether he's alive or dead, I don't know. I'm glad he wrote the book, but it's complicated. It's hard to say with Tesla technology, when you're not a scientist, how much of it is real, because alternative energy and electricity is real. That's magnets. Magnets can do a lot of amazing things. So anyway, I did this to say, if you're losing your feeling and emotion, and doctor's like, I don't know, we'll send you specialists. The idea is so abhorrent that somebody in your past signed you over to be a guinea pig, and that people in town just kind of, oh, okay, we get this much money. They're literally planning your whole life to be in pain until you get out and off yourself or something, but they don't care. They're just thinking greenbacks. They're thinking Benjamins. And it is disgusting. But at least they now know, and they have for the last number of years, they know that I know. And whenever there's a story about DEWs, directed energy devices or weapons, implantables or lasers, sonar, audio, different types of lights and lasers, or just electronics that are implanted, smaller ones, like, how much of it is what is Boeing, what is, I don't know about Boeing, but Raytheon and Harris. And I had people in my own family that had worked for some of these companies, or the Air Force, Not me, of course. I was just a CNA for 25 years in a nursing home. So anyway, I'm just putting this out there in case there's other people who, this will come out probably this year or next year if Robert Duncan's right. They've already been talking about it with Havana syndrome and DEWs, and everybody knows these things are real. I mean, I remember in the podium at the White House, there's that one where a captain was talking, one of the Air Force, I guess, captains, I guess that was branch Air Force, talking to Donald Rumsfeld. One of the news reporters was saying, about directed energy weapons. And Rumsfeld looks up and talks to the chief, military guy. It's like, is this okay to talk about? And it's like, well, it's just in its beginning stages of directed energy. And even then, it's like they can say that, but they've been working on it for a number of years in different forms. When you are a part of this, it does make you wonder how much is, because there's always, especially with COVID, there's so much information and disinformation, and they just simply will lie to you, to the American public. They'll get doctors to lie, to continue their lie, until it becomes so embarrassingly obvious they've been lying. But nobody seems to pay. They get pardoned because they did the lying and the bidding of the government. And the people in the government are acting and pretending like they're outraged. And then behind the back, they're smiling and laughing. Even in front on Congress, being grilled in front of Congress, and then seeing a person ask, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then watching the person's aide behind them smiling and laughing about it. Out in the open, about COVID and where is it happening, And then, of course, the news will follow how serious and they're being grilled. But then the person behind the aide is laughing. And it's like a soap opera that they've already gone down on the knees to the deep state. And you can call it liberal left, demonic, stupid. But when you live in a conservative town, very religious, and I thought great town, great people, I just could not believe, and I'm still going to say that there's a lot of good people. But it makes you change your ways of how you view them when you realize they went along with this. I can hear, it's like the V2K. People will say it's not real, and they just don't know. It's impossible to believe, or very hard for people to believe, unless you're actually, but then it's like if you were to tell somebody, are they going to go along and just realize, yeah, here's the books, here's the patents? Or are they just going to, oh yeah, I got paid or told by my boss to just pretend they're crazy? And how many people just went and pretended they're crazy until finally, after the third time of going, it's like, yeah, well, we know it's a federal program. And acting like they can't do anything, because once you're a federal person, then you can break the law and the police or the other federal people can't arrest you because that Constitution is dead and they're helping to kill it. The police are helping to kill it because the federal people are important. And if they decide that murder and torture is okay, no, it's against the law now to do to beagles, thank God. But to humans, well, you're still alive and we're trying to kill you. It'd be really embarrassing. So why are you still walking around? You're making us look bad and cruel. Everybody knows we're pretending to be conservative Christians, and you're a walking billboard of our hypocrisy. It's just like, well, why don't you change that? Don't be a billboard of hypocrisy. Try to help. Drain the swamp. All those people talking about it. Drain the swamp. Don't torture, just get a doctor and, take it out. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but just, do that. I'm not looking to sue. I'm not trying to get rich off of, you're trying to get rich of my pain, or people in the town are. But I'm still alive and I know about it. So why don't you do something so that in 5 or 10 years it won't make it won't make the town look bad? Because being one of the original prototypes of this trial, anyway, I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you TIs later. It's just you understand if you're part of it. So hopefully there are a lot of good people out there. So I'll talk to you later.